Have you ever imagined waking up and forgetting your entire life? You remember nothing about your name, family, home, or personal history. You look around, but everything feels completely strange and unfamiliar. This sounds like a mysterious movie, but one man experienced this situation. His story became one of the strangest medical mysteries in modern history. The man was later known as Benjaman Kyle. He woke up without knowing who he was or where he came from. For years, nobody could discover his real identity or personal history. He lived without a birth certificate, social security number, or official identity. But his strange story began on an ordinary morning near an airport. On August 31, 2004, a man woke up in Georgia. He was lying near the entrance of an airport building. The location was near Jacksonville International Airport in the United States. He did not know how he had arrived at that place. He could not remember his name or anything about his previous life. He had no wallet, identification, phone, or personal documents with him. The man looked around and tried understanding his strange situation. However, his memories seemed completely empty during those first confusing moments. He knew basic information about the world and could speak English normally. But he could not remember anything about himself or his personal history. The most frightening question was simple: who was he? The man was taken to a hospital for medical examination and treatment. Doctors tried understanding why he could not remember his identity. He could answer basic questions about everyday life and general knowledge. He knew how to speak, read, and understand many ordinary things. However, his personal memories remained completely inaccessible to him. He could not remember his parents, childhood, education, or previous jobs. He could not remember having a home or personal relationships. He did not even know his real name or exact birthday. Doctors examined him, but his case remained extremely difficult understanding. Then investigators began searching for clues about his forgotten identity. Authorities searched missing persons databases across different parts of America. They compared his appearance with photographs of missing people. They searched records that might reveal his previous identity and history. However, nobody found a clear match for the mysterious man. The man remembered a few details about his possible past life. He believed he might have worked in restaurants during earlier years. He also seemed to know certain skills involving cooking and food preparation. But these memories were incomplete and could not prove his identity. His situation became even more difficult because official documents were missing. Without an identity, even ordinary life became almost impossible. The man needed identification before accessing many basic government services. He needed official documents proving his name and date of birth. Without those documents, finding regular employment became extremely difficult. Opening bank accounts and receiving government assistance also became complicated. He could not easily prove who he was to official institutions. The mysterious man therefore lived without the identity most people take for granted. He eventually chose the name Benjaman Kyle for himself. The unusual spelling of Benjaman became part of his new identity. However, this name was not his original name from birth. The real question remained hidden somewhere inside his missing memories. For years, Benjaman Kyle lived without knowing his true identity. He spent time in different places while surviving without official documents. His story eventually attracted attention from journalists and documentary filmmakers. People became fascinated by the man who seemed to have no past. How could someone live for decades and suddenly forget everything personal? Could medical tests eventually reveal what had happened to him? Could someone from his former life recognize his photograph somewhere? Or would his true identity remain hidden forever? Then a documentary helped bring his strange story to millions of people. The story of Benjaman Kyle became known across the United States. People watched his story and began searching for possible clues. Some viewers believed they recognized him from their own communities. Others suggested different possible names and backgrounds for the mysterious man. However, many theories were difficult proving with reliable evidence. The Internet allowed strangers to investigate his identity from different locations. His story became an unusual combination of mystery, medicine, and human tragedy. But the most important question was still unanswered. What happened to this man before he woke up near that airport? Why had his personal memories disappeared so completely from his mind? Was he suffering from a rare medical condition or serious brain injury? Could his real identity eventually be discovered through modern technology? And after years of living without a past, would Benjaman Kyle finally discover who he truly was? Benjaman Kyle spent many years trying to understand his mysterious condition. He knew many ordinary facts about life and the modern world. He could speak English, understand money, and discuss many everyday subjects. However, his personal memories remained almost completely unavailable to him. He could not remember his family, childhood, or previous personal relationships. He could not remember where he had lived before losing his memory. This made his situation different from ordinary forgetfulness after a difficult experience. His missing memories seemed connected directly with his personal identity and history. But doctors still needed discovering what caused his unusual memory loss. Some experts believed Benjaman might have experienced a serious psychological condition. Other people believed a medical problem might have affected his brain. He had several scars that created additional questions about his past. Some scars suggested he might have experienced serious injuries earlier in life. However, nobody could confidently explain exactly what happened to him. Benjaman himself could not provide enough information about his previous life. His missing memories created a huge barrier for medical investigators. The person who could explain everything was unable remembering anything important. The mystery became even stranger because Benjaman still remembered general knowledge. He knew many historical facts and understood the modern world around him. He could recognize ordinary objects and understand common social situations. He knew how to communicate with other people during everyday conversations. But personal information about himself seemed completely missing from his mind. He did not know his birth name or exact date of birth. He did not know his parents' names or his childhood address. He did not know where he had attended school during his childhood. This strange difference confused many people who heard about his story. How could someone remember the world but forget himself completely? Benjaman eventually began using the name Benjaman Kyle publicly. The name helped people discuss his case and identify him socially. However, this name was not his original legal identity. Without official documents, Benjaman faced enormous problems during everyday life. He struggled finding regular employment because employers needed identification documents. He also struggled receiving government support and accessing important services. For years, he lived without many rights other citizens normally possessed. His missing identity became a practical problem affecting almost every part of life. Then his story reached people far beyond the local community. Journalists began writing about the mysterious man without an official identity. Documentary filmmakers also became interested in his unusual life story. His case attracted attention because it combined mystery with a serious human problem. Many people wanted helping him discover his true name and family. Some viewers believed they recognized his face from earlier photographs. Others searched old records and missing person databases for possible matches. However, most possible leads eventually failed to provide definite answers. Benjaman continued living with uncertainty about his own personal history. Then technology offered a new possibility for discovering his identity. Modern DNA testing could potentially connect Benjaman with unknown relatives. A DNA sample might reveal information about his biological family. It could also compare his genetic information with existing public databases. However, technology could only help if a matching relative existed somewhere. His family might have moved, changed names, or remained completely unaware. There was also no guarantee that records contained useful genetic information. Still, DNA testing created more hope than traditional investigations had provided. For the first time, modern science offered a possible path forward. Investigators also searched databases containing information about missing people. They compared physical details with unidentified persons from different American states. They examined photographs, medical records, and possible personal histories carefully. However, Benjaman's lack of reliable information made searching extremely difficult. Every possible clue required comparing many different possibilities and records. A single incorrect detail could lead investigators toward a completely wrong person. The mystery continued for years without any clear solution. Benjaman also faced emotional difficulties during his unusual life. He knew his family might still exist somewhere in the world. He wondered whether relatives had spent years searching for him. He wondered whether someone might recognize his face from the past. He also wondered whether his real name could still be discovered. Living without memories meant living without a clear personal story. Most people can describe where they came from and who they are. Benjaman could only describe the life he remembered after waking up. But one important discovery eventually changed his situation completely. After many years, investigators began using advanced DNA testing methods. They hoped genetic information could finally reveal Benjaman's biological family. The process required comparing his DNA with available genetic databases. The results could potentially connect him with relatives around the world. For the first time, his forgotten past might become discoverable through science. Then, after more than a decade of uncertainty, the mystery finally began breaking open. For more than a decade, Benjaman Kyle lived without knowing his identity. He had spent years searching for answers about his forgotten past. Doctors, journalists, investigators, and ordinary people tried helping him. However, his true name remained hidden for many difficult years. The mystery seemed almost impossible solving through ordinary investigation methods alone. Then researchers began using new technology to examine his genetic information. DNA testing offered the most promising clue in Benjaman's entire story. Investigators compared Benjaman's DNA with genetic information from different databases. They hoped his genetic information could reveal unknown relatives somewhere in America. A family connection could finally provide his original name and personal history. The search required patience because genetic databases did not contain everyone. Many possible matches needed careful investigation before confirming any family connection. Finally, researchers discovered a possible connection to a family in Indiana. The evidence suggested Benjaman might have been born as William Powell. His possible identity connected him with a family and a completely different past. After years without answers, Benjaman finally had a possible real name. Investigators continued examining the evidence to confirm his identity carefully. They compared family information, historical records, and genetic evidence together. The results eventually supported the conclusion that Benjaman was William Powell. He had been born in Indiana many decades earlier during his childhood. His real family history was finally beginning to return through investigation. For years, Benjaman had believed his entire past was completely lost. Now, researchers could connect him with relatives and information about his life. The discovery changed the meaning of his entire mysterious story. The man without an identity finally had a name again. The discovery did not immediately return all his personal memories. Knowing his name could not magically restore every forgotten childhood experience. However, it gave him something extremely important: an official identity. He could finally begin correcting many problems caused by missing documents. Government records could now connect him with his real personal information. He could receive identification and access services that had previously been difficult. The discovery also helped him understand where he came from originally. For the first time, his life had a documented beginning again. But the emotional journey was not finished after discovering his identity. Benjaman had spent many years believing his family was completely unknown. Now, he had the opportunity learning more about his biological relatives. He could discover information about his childhood and earlier life. He could finally understand parts of the story hidden inside his memory. Some questions would probably remain unanswered because many years had passed. Memory loss had created gaps that official records could not completely fill. Still, discovering his identity gave him a new beginning. His story became an incredible example of technology solving an impossible mystery. For many years, Benjaman's identity remained hidden from doctors and investigators. Traditional searchers could not find a clear answer about his background. Missing person databases did not immediately reveal his true identity. Medical investigations also could not fully explain his unusual memory loss. But DNA technology eventually provided a powerful new direction for investigators. Genetic information connected the mysterious man with a possible family history. This demonstrated how modern science could solve mysteries lasting many decades. The man who woke up without a memory finally discovered who he was. Benjaman Kyle's story is unusual because his problem was deeply personal. Most mysteries involve missing objects, hidden crimes, or unknown historical events. His mystery involved the disappearance of his own personal identity. He knew the world around him but could not remember himself. For years, he lived between two different identities and two different lives. The first identity was the mysterious man called Benjaman Kyle. The second identity belonged to the person he had been before. Eventually, investigators connected both parts of his story together. His life shows how important identity is for every human being. A name is more than a word written on official documents. It connects people with their family, history, memories, and personal experiences. Without an identity, ordinary activities can become extremely difficult for anyone. Employment, housing, government services, and travel often require official identification. Benjaman experienced these problems for many years without knowing the reason. His story showed how vulnerable a person can become without official records. But his story also shows that answers can sometimes arrive unexpectedly. For more than 10 years, Benjaman did not know his real name. Many people believed his identity might never be discovered by investigators. Then new technology created a possibility that did not exist earlier. DNA research eventually helped connect him with information about his past. The mystery that seemed impossible finally began revealing its hidden answers. His story became a powerful example of human curiosity and scientific progress. Sometimes the past does not disappear completely. Sometimes it hides inside records, memories, and genetic information. Sometimes finding the truth requires many years of patience and investigation. And sometimes technology can reveal answers that people thought were impossible. The strange story of Benjaman Kyle remains unforgettable for that reason. A man woke up without knowing his name or personal history. He lived for years without an official identity or clear past. Then investigators used science to help discover the person behind the mystery. The man who woke up with no memory finally found his identity again.